Okay, today's lesson is about playing chords, or playing the bass note of chords with your thumb. Okay, so an unorthodox way of playing, but nonetheless can be a really cool technique. Now, for those of you with smaller hands, you might find this a little bit difficult, but it can be developed in time. Hopefully you're not a new player and are watching this video. If you are, stop watching it, because it's a technique that you have to learn the right way first before you can learn this unorthodox, rule-breaking way, okay? And if you know how to play standard bar chords already, then you're okay in watching this video. Otherwise, I would not watch it. It's only going to confuse you, okay? So, John Frusciante from the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Jimi Hendrix are two guitar players that I think of off the top of my head that use this technique a lot. And so, for instance, when Jimi Hendrix would play a G major chord, a lot of times you wouldn't hear this fifth string being played, which is the 5 of the chord. You just wouldn't hear it. And that's because instead of playing a straight up bar chord like this, he would play it more like this. Okay, so basically he'd bring his thumb over the top of the neck, which ends up muting the 6th string. So there's 6, 5 is muted, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, a little bit easier to do on an electric, but you get that kind of sound instead of. Okay. Now I've seen this done with minor chords and I've seen it done with major. Minor is a bit challenging, okay, but you can do them. So to start off, what you're going to do here is you're going to form the bottom part of a major chord. And so this would be, if we were using say a G bar chord, G major bar chord, you're just going to be playing the bottom 4 strings. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, that's the first part of doing this technique. Then, what you want to do is bring your thumb around to just barely thumb that 6th string down on the 5th fret, and also allowing that thumb to mute the 5th string, or allowing your 3rd finger to slightly bump up into it like that. Okay? Now, this is a technique that you probably will not use a ton. However, it's helpful when you're trying to come up with that sound, or if you're reading tabs and see that someone isn't playing that 5th string, chances are they're reaching their thumb around the top. You won't run into it often, but when you do, there's only one way to play it. Okay? Now, that's when you're playing bar chords, okay? There's another use of this, and it's when you're going, say, from like a G chord to a D/F sharp, okay? So if I'm, say, doing this type of technique, or that chord progression, I'm going to use this technique. So G, D with an F sharp in the bass, and I'm reaching my thumb up there, and then E minor. So, okay, and so what that sounds like finger picked. Now I've got that A singing out as well, but an A is in a D chord, so it sounds fine if I do that. And an F sharp is in a D chord, it's right here as well. It's the 3rd of the chord, it's the note that makes it major or minor. So we're just putting a 3rd in the bass here, which of course makes it an inversion, and then going to our E minor. So that's another place that you might use it a lot. So more what I'm wanting to do here is introduce you to this unorthodox concept of that you can bring that thumb around over the neck to do some noodling notes, to do some bass lines and that sort of thing. So experiment with this sort of thing. Again, if you haven't got straight up bar chords down, you want to do that first before attempting bringing your thumb over the top of the neck, and of course having a need for it. So make sure that you get those bar chords down before you attempt this, and then come back to the video. Otherwise, practice this if it feels like it's something that you can use, and take your time with it. It could be a little bit frustrating, and depending on the width of your neck, both this way and this way, and the size of your hands, you may or may not have difficulty doing this. Take your time with it. Great new technique. Let's keep going.